Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about the books I read in the month of April. Alright, y'all, we are back with another video. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about the books I read in the month of April. We have a lot of good books to this month, you guys. We had some hits and misses, but it was overall a good reading month. I found some books I really enjoyed, had a couple 5 stars. I was so excited. So, let's get into all the books. So, first up on the list is Specters in the Glass House by Jaime Wright. This is one that I think I mentioned briefly in my last wrap up, but this is a full 5-star read for me, you guys. It's one of my favorite books of the year. Jaime just has a way of telling stories that just captivate you. I mean, truly captivate you. And this was no disappointment, okay? We have the atmospheric setting. We've got butterflies, a glass house, obviously, setting, the Gothic style here. And we have a focus on mental health and a romantic subplot, as always. There's like a little sub-thread there of romance. This is dual timeline in the 1920s and present day. Beautiful faith thread, as always, with Jaime, and it's a pretty quick read. Like I said, we have 2 timelines, one in modern day and one in 1920. And in the 1921 timeline, we have got Marion Arnold, and she is an heiress who is struggling with like the weight of her family's brewing empire, and the Prohibition timeline pretty much threatens its future. So she is isolated in this Wisconsin estate glass house, like with butterflies and everything. And she becomes plagued by these different visions, and there's like a series of murders, and the murders are marked by the dead butterflies. So it's very, I don't know, it's eerie in that regard. Marion turns to her childhood friend named Felix, and he is like a war veteran who is battling his own issues and ghosts, if you will, but he ends up helping Marion unravel all of the things in the darkness that's haunting her and figure out answers to their questions. Then in the present day, we have Remy Shaw, and she's investigating Marion's life, pretty much, and the long unsolved murders tied to her family estate. And so she ends up this cat is playing with an Easter egg. What? So, hold on. Remy ends up meeting Marion's great-great-grandson, and they discover the truth behind the glass house, and that's all we need to know. The way that Jaime tied in the family elements in this was really great. It's like a multi-generational story through and through. I love that. I always love how she ties her timelines together, and so yeah, I feel like this was filled with some atmospheric suspense, emotional layers, all the good things. She handled the mental health topics very well. A mental health diagnosis, if you will. I don't want to spoil it because that is a spoiler for the story of like what the mental health thread is in here. But if that is a trigger for you, please go. This cat back there, y'all. Please look up trigger warnings for this. It wasn't anything over the top by any means. It was handled with care and all that good stuff. But if that, I think chapter 33, let me look at my notes, chapter 30, I didn't put it in here, but I want to say chapter 33, 34, somewhere in there, was a little hard to read, but it was handled with care. And I always love that Jaime handles her stories that well, and there's a faith thread and all of that. And I love how the mental health was discussed in this. So yeah, and I had someone ask me how to look up trigger warnings for books, and I want to mention that. So what I do is I just go to like Amazon or Goodreads or somewhere where there are reviews that you can search. And so I usually search the word trigger or content or warning, or if you want about spice, you can search the word spice, that kind of stuff, because a lot of times people will put that in the review if it was spicy or not. So that's kind of what I do. I think that the searching is done best on a computer, not necessarily your phone, but you can always Google the book too as well to look up content warnings, and somebody's review may come up. Also, you can go to a trigger warning database website. They have some of that, but a lot of the Christian fiction books are not on there. I would say the more secular side is. So just a couple tips. All right, now let's talk about Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is book 2 in the Powerless trilogy, and I really enjoyed this one. I have a whole review vlog for this. It's spoiler free if you want to go check that out and see like all the crazy reactions and everything. And if you've read this, you know, you can kind of go back and follow along, and I say like page numbers and things like that. It was a lot of fun. I will link it in the card down below in the description, but y'all, this cat, he sounds like a horse. Anyway, so this book took me out. I don't even know what else to say other than it's my favorite of the trilogy. We'll talk about book 3. I'll just go ahead and talk about book 3 in a minute. I finished both book 2 and 3, and I was unwell. Like, that's the one thing. It's like this book was like an experience of I am unwell. throughout the whole time, okay? And so, what do I even say without spoiling it? But we just pick up where Powerless left off. If you know, you know. I was here for the romance. I really liked the interactions with Kai and Peyton. If you don't really know what Powerless is about, it's basically this young adult fantasy, romantasy, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have any explicit sexual content, but it does have language and some violence. So just look up content warnings again for that. But it isn't anything that went overboard for me. There might be like one scene in Powerless that bothered me as far as violence went. But other than that, you know, and the language is kind of annoying sometimes, but other than that, it's not anything crazy. It's like one of those YA books that you can just like read, binge, and have fun with the experience more so. And if I'm being critical of it, I mean, the plot, whatever, but like, I'm here for it. The Powerless book is really like, you got this ordinary and elites, and like, it's kind of like, reminds you of like the Red Queen trilogy a little bit of like, kind of like a Hunger Games, Divergent, all mixed into one. The thread of survival is in here, but Kai and Peyton end up basically meeting in book one, and there's like trials and things going on. I don't even know what to say anymore. But like, she's an ordinary, he's an elite, he hunts ordinaries. It's like that kind of stuff, and she's pretending to not be an ordinary by something else. I don't even, am I even explaining this? No. Reviews on me linked for that if you really want to know. But most of y'all already know what this is, just because it's kind of taken the whole book community by storm. But in book two, I think things were more intense, of course, more emotionally charged, all that stuff. The angst is here. It's high angst. The plot did thicken. You've got complex relationships and whatnot. Lots of betrayal, like, I don't even know, power, you already know. And I feel like Lauren Roberts does a really good job of like creating these fun characters. Peyton, I really liked her in this one, very strong-willed, resourceful, and then Kai and her, their interactions, their banter was second to none. I loved it, you know, and you just see more of their vulnerabilities explored in this book, and I liked that. I think if you like the slow burn romance, of course, this is the series with lots of angst. I mean, the way it ended, that the last sentence and the epilogue took me out. You can see the vlog, right? So I was like, okay, as soon as that was done, y'all, this cat, I need to read Fearless, okay? I was like, I need to read it ASAP. That's what's happening. And I'm gonna pull up my review because there is some notes in there I really want to highlight just for reasons, you know. And I talked a little bit about this already in my quarter year crisis book tag. And so I'll try to be as brief as I can, but we're here in case you didn't see that. But I ended up giving, I should have said the rating. Reckless was like a 4 to 4.5. I really liked it. It's my favorite of the three. I don't know what it is, something about it. But Fearless was a 3-star read for me, and that's fine. It was a little disappointing, right? Just because I didn't like where the plot went by the end of it. Some of the family stuff, if you know, you know, was like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Lauren? Like, come on, girl. I didn't like it. One of the characters, what she did with that character in the end, again, the twist, if you know, you know, I did not like that. I thought that was like, it was not in that person's character. I tried not to say like anything, but I just didn't care about I didn't like what she did with that. But I was still unwell, like needing to know. So like the experience reading this was like that 4 or 5 star experience, because you're literally like, look how chunky this is. I read this so quickly in like a day, maybe 2 days. Like, it's one of those like bingeable reads. So I still really enjoyed my time with this series. I, you know, got some merch and stuff. I got Oshina some merch too. If you haven't seen her vlog, I'll link it. It was so fun to watch her unbox it, because she lives in Canada and can't get like some Powerless merch that's at Books A Million. And I was like, girl, I got you. I got the hookup. So that's what I did. But, and we still love it, right? Like, me and her felt the exact same, really, with this book. And she had a whole dedicated review vlog as well. I'll link that, too. If you've read Fearless, she has spoiler stuff at the end. It's a lot of fun to kind of watch her reactions. But me and her, I was like, oh, I feel the exact same. Like, me and her were in that 3.5 range. I gave it 3 stars all day. I think hers is more 3.5. But, like, me and her both were pretty much the same with this book. Just because the last 30% was like, where is this plot going? Like, what? But there was a random fade to black scene that didn't make sense. And one thing that Oshina said that I forgot to say that I definitely agree with is a lot of the banter with Kai and Peyton in here was like so repetitive. We had seen it before. You know, it kind of would have been nice to have their relationship explored a little bit more in depth. And I agree with that. So that was a really good point. And what else? Yeah, I said, you know, one of those drop everything and read moments. That was me. It is. It's like her writing's addictive. But, like, looking at the book itself, it's all over the place. That's what I said in my review. As far as content goes, You know, there's a weird second epilogue talking about like afterlife and stuff that made no sense to me. I still don't understand who that person was even talking to, what that was about. Then there is lots more language in this. There was 2 F words, some lots of S, D, H, A, B words. You know, that's kind of what I'm saying. It's in the review. The fade to black scene, I knew it was going to be in here because I saw her talk about that in a video, that the most she would do is fade to black, which I appreciate her not going explicit with it because it's YA. We don't always love a fade to black and stuff, but at least if she had to do it for the publisher, you know, how that requirement stuff is, at least she wanted to do it. If she had to do it, it was fade to black and it wasn't explicit because the scene itself wasn't anything that bothered me. The placement of it was weird. Like, didn't make sense. Like, right before a big thing happens in the book is when that goes down. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Like, y'all just going off here? Okay. But anyway, it didn't make any sense. So that was weird. As far as, like, the sexual content, I mean, there was, like, heavy kisses and stuff outside of that, too. But it wasn't anything that bothered me. The violence, I think, is more intense in this. So, be aware of that. Like, I think there was, like, some burns and blood and stabs and things like that. So yeah, didn't really bother me necessarily personally, but it was like, there was one part I was like, ooh, you know, it's a little much. So yeah, that kind of gives you the general consensus of where I landed with this. I just feel like overall it was a fun time to read this. It's not like the best of all time, but like it was a lot of fun. And sometimes you just need a good book like that, a good series like that, just to kind of bring you back to like your YA days and have fun. And it don't even matter if it's like perfect, right? So, yeah, still gonna keep the books. Had so much fun with it. And I think the best part about it is talking about it, like with Oshina and my friends that have read it. That's been the best part, is like chit-chatting with them about like, what, girl, what's happening? You know, like that's been the most fun part about it. It's like when you can bond with a book series with friends, bond over a book with friends, I'm trying to say. So, there you go. So, Secondary Target by Angela Carlisle. This is book 1 in the Secrets of Kincaid series. And this was Oshina's Patreon buddy read. I almost said book club. Buddy read. It's a buddy read. It's kind of like book club, I guess. But it's a buddy read pick. And this was really good. I had so much fun with this. I think I talked about it maybe in another vlog. I can't remember exactly. If I did, I'm sorry. If I didn't, who knows. But I really enjoyed my time with this. New Christian romantic suspense author, and I'm definitely going to read book 2. I thought her writing was really good. The romance was cute. It was a 4-star read for me. Like high stakes drama, second chance romance, that kind of stuff. This is definitely up your alley. A lot of second chance romances happen in romantic suspense, and I usually am okay with it in that regard, as long as they don't spend too much time on the past and they're kind of starting over, it's fine. But this is about Karina and what's his name? Bryce? Yeah, Karina and Bryce. And Karina's kind of worked to rebuild her life after the loss of her mother many years ago, mother and brother 12 years ago. And so strange events are coming up now that she's back with her father visiting. Her father ends up disappearing, which is kind of like why I think they call it Secondary Target, because Secondary Target is like she becomes the second target after her dad goes missing kind of thing. But that's all I really have to say. I think if you like Lynette Easton, Natalie Walters, Lennox Blackburn, Danny Petrie, like you're going to like this. So it's pretty good. Maiden by Morgan L. Busse is a 24 and 24 pick that I read. 24 and 24. 25 and 25 pick. It's from the Hubs. And this is a 3.5-star read for me. I think I gave it 3 on Goodreads, I want to say. 4. 3.5 to 4. Sorry. Memory. But it was good. I want to read the second one for sure. It wasn't like one that like spoke to me by any means. It was good. It was a good like Christian, more like YA fantasy style, Vikings, all that good stuff. The vibe of it was fun, if you will. And so this is my first Morgan L. Busse book, and it's book 1 in the Nordic Wars series, and it really felt like winter. Like that's one thing I can say about this, is it exudes all things winter. So if you are interested in a good winter read, this is definitely the one to pick up, because she had all like the descriptions and stuff that I think was really nice. It's got like this Nordic Wars, icy survival, warrior heroine, that kind of stuff, and I think that's one, if you like that type of stuff, you'll like this. There's 2 point of views in this. We've got Bridget and Caden, and it's not really like a romance. I'd say maybe like very minimal. It's more of a story of growth for the characters. So like Bridget is a clanless one, and she's raised by this woman who helped deliver her. So we start off the book like her father is leaving the day that she was birthed. What am I saying? Her father, I almost said birth. The day she was birthed. The day she was born. Oh my goodness, we're not starting over. But the day she was born, her daddy left. And you don't know who her daddy is or none of that stuff. And so her mom passes away in childbirth as well. And she ends up being raised by this woman who delivered her, basically. And so we're cut to, 16, 17 years later in the story. And she's trying to earn her place among the legendary Nordic warriors. She's very gritty. She's determined. She's strong on the battlefield. And she's just trying to find her place. And so her journey goes from like this outcast to an elite fighter, which is pretty cool. But on the other side of the story, you've got Caden. He's like a healer, and I love his spiritual depth that he had. He brought a lot to the story, and you follow like how their paths are crossing, things are shifting, and interactions lead to a lot of intensity. Sam, this is just the cat's interrupted everything. You really feel the weight of the choices that they're making, and I think the world building is very rich and wintry. Like I said, if you like Norse-inspired fantasy as well, this would probably be good for you. Allegory to God was the word, which I liked that she had allegory in there. I don't know that I love that she called it the word, but it was fine. It was like a capital W, so that was a nice allegorical moments to see that. But yeah, I think the only thing that I didn't love about this, I had a really hard time keeping up with the names, the clans, what was really going on sometimes with some of the family stuff. So that's a personal thing, and that's why it's more that 3.5 to 4. But again, take me with a grain of salt, because if you like Christian fantasy, pick this up. You're definitely going to like this. It's a lot of fun. So, like, I know my friends who love Christian fantasy, like Chrissy and Reese, love this book. So, again, grain of salt over here with me. But I read this with Teresa and Lindsay, and I think me and Teresa were kind of the same on it. Lindsay hasn't finished it just yet, so I'll be interested to hear her thoughts. But yeah, overall, I liked it. It just wasn't a favorite, and I'm definitely keeping the book. I'm going to be reading book 2, because it ends kind of like you need to know what happens in the next one. So, yeah. How about one that I read for review from NetGalley? I'm going to look at my notes here because I don't own this book, but it's called Murder in the Appalachians by Susan Furlong. This was pretty good. I think this is my favorite love-inspired suspense I've read so far. Probably for the setting. It's in the Appalachian Mountains, of course. You're picked up right into this suspenseful moments. Like, this was like high-intensity suspense, and it's like fast-paced, like unrealistic stuff's happening, but it's fun. It's one of those like palate cleanse reads. Like, you have so much fun, and it's a quick romance as always. But love inspired suspense are meant to be that. They're meant to be these fun reads that are like quick romance, quick suspense. Everything's happening. You just want something quick to read, and that's what this was. It delivered, right? It gave what it needed to give. So I read this through NetGalley, and it released, I guess, April 1st, I want to say. But we follow Emma Hayes, and she's seeking a lot of answers after her mysterious brother's mysterious death. That's what I meant to say. But she goes like back to get her brother's police notebook. I want to say it was like at a cabin in the mountains, maybe. Don't quote me. But she goes there. He's like part of the police force. When he had passed away, he was working a case. So she goes back to get his notebook, and somebody's there watching her and like basically attacks her. So she goes on her own, and he's like popped off right off the bat. She runs off, has the notebook, gets by the river, I want to say, if I remember right. And some man, what was his name? See, name's Logan. He's an ER doctor, Logan Greer. He found her and was like, girl, what's up going on? I need to help you. So he ends up like taking her in and helping her. Someone's after her. He gets roped into the mess. Like, I want to say at one point, somebody's vehicle blew up. Like, it was a whole thing, right? Like, it was a lot of stuff. And so, I had a good time with it, honestly. I really liked how this author tied in the ER doctor Logan with her brother and stuff. And like the forgiveness thread that was in this book was really good. So, very emotional, crying out to the Lord stuff. Like, I just really liked it. So yeah, I would recommend it if you like that type of stuff. I give it 4 stars. Then we have got another one I don't think I own. It was a Kindle read, and that is Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys. And this was the book club read for Tammy at the Protagonist Pub. I don't know how many of us actually read it, but it might just been us. I haven't looked in the Discord, but I don't care. I had so much fun talking to her about it, and we had a whole conversation, side conversation about it. I really like Ruta Sepetys' writing style. She writes like historical fiction, and it's secular historical fiction, but it's like in-depth stories. And this has like a content warning of like in a brothel, prostitution, and that sort of stuff, because it's about the daughter of a prostitute, and she ends up working like at the brothel and all these things. But like, it was handled again with care. It wasn't anything that bothered me. I thought it was You know, there was a little bit of language and stuff, but it was a powerful story about this woman just really trying to get out of this town and go to college and live her life. And I thought it was really good. I would say it's like a 4-star read for me because if I hadn't already read I Must Betray You, and I want to say it's called Between Shades of Grey, which is about the Lithuanian War and all this stuff. Like, those were very high impact, high intensity, impactful reads that made me cry. This one didn't make me cry, but I still really liked the journey that our main character took and all that good stuff. So yeah, like I said, this is set in 1950. I don't know if I said that, but it's set in 1950, and it's in the French Quarter of New Orleans. We have a 17-year-old girl named Josie Moraine, and she wants to get out of the Big Easy more than anything, right? She's the daughter of a prostitute. Like I said, she works in a bookshop, but she also has always helped kind of clean up and pick up and give like the things to the woman who runs the brothel named Willie. And yeah, that's kind of this whole beginning, okay? She has a dream, though, to get out and go to college, right? She really wants to go get into, I think it was Smith, I don't know, some really nice college. And I don't know, like, her dream, sorry, I'm like sitting down here. Her dream was to go to college and all this stuff. So you really see her ambition. Her mother is an absolute horrible person. Like, she uses her, abuses her, and it's just really sad to see that and all the things that our girl went through. Her mother had like this abusive boyfriend, and our girl gets kind of roped into some of that stuff. All right, sorry, I had a text message. Look at this cat, you guys. He's wild. So, where was I? I think I was saying how the mother and everybody's involved in this murder mystery, and our main girl ends up getting involved somehow too, trying to get out of there, all this stuff. So you're just following her journey, and I thought it was really good. You know, like I said, as far as the content, you've got some language. It's very mild, but it's situational. Domestic abuse, not too much, but it's there. Prostitution details, not explicit, but discussed. A brothel as a main location. Innuendo, not necessarily graphic, but a couple times, you know, there's some innuendo and stuff like that. A mother who mistreats her daughter, and mild violence. So that's just the content. It, like I said, it didn't bother me personally, but letting you know to make your own decision. Also, something in this book that bothered me, but I can't say. It's like how it's like a romantic relationship twist that I didn't really like. That it would be a spoiler for a character, so I don't want to say that, but didn't love like one of the twists on that. So it's like I said, this I put 3.5 to 4. I gave it 4 stars overall, but it's like 3.5 to 4, if you will. So yeah, but Josie really makes this story. She's like a character you root for, and you really want to see her get out of this town, make a better life for herself. And it was really devastating, like what Josie was going through with her mother. Like, her mother would steal from her and be gone for a long time, up and leave. It was just really sad because of the lifestyle she was wrapped up into, and it was very heartbreaking. And very layered characters. Like, you had some side characters, Charlie, Jesse, and Patrick. They were great. Even Willie was a character that, like, gives you mixed emotions. Because, like, you can tell she runs the brothel and all this stuff. You can tell she cares about people. But she also, I mean, despite the nature of her business, but it's also, like, for her own gain sometimes, too. So, like, you knew it was for selfish gain of some of the things. Like, she didn't want Josie to leave or thrive. And, like, that was something hard to see, but like by the end of the book, I can see how she cared for those people that were in her life for what she did. But like, also I knew a part of it during most of the book was for her own gain. So like, I don't think she wanted to see her flourish. Didn't want to see her leave, that kind of stuff. So I also really like the atmosphere here. The New Orleans stuff, like that was pretty good to see as well. So like full French Quarter, and the audiobook is really good. Like, I think I read this in like a day, listened to it in like a day. The audiobook had really good narration of the like accents and stuff, New Orleans accents, that I think you all would like. If you would like to read this book, I'd probably read it the audiobook way. But yeah, it was pretty good. So I think I listened to it 70%, and then the ending was popping off, and I picked up my Kindle and finished it that way. So yeah, that's everything about that one. So the next book I want to talk about is another one I don't own that I listened to for a review, and that is Everything's Coming Up Rosie by Courtney Walsh. Love this book so much, you guys. It comes out June the 10th, so get your pre-orders in. I thought it was really good. I gave it like a 4 star. It's if you love like music and theater and like retirement communities and like funny seniors and found family, like pick this book up. It's pretty good. It's one of her contemporary women's fiction stories. It's clean, no language, that kind of stuff. So this is what I wrote in my review. I'm gonna read it. When your Broadway dreams lead you to ... a retirement community. This is a story about losing it all and finding something better, even better. And Rosie's journey was just fun. Like, it's one of those like inspiring journeys that she's just on this road to figure things out. She has a failed Broadway career. She's always wanted, it's not even a career. It's like she wanted to be have a chance at Broadway, and she didn't make it. So you see her move back to California, I want to say, and then she went to Wisconsin? No, wait. She was in New York. I don't remember if she's in New York, California, and then Wisconsin. See, I'm getting the areas mixed up from another book I read this book, so whatever. She goes from one place to another, okay? She goes home, honey. And she ends up taking a job at a place that she didn't realize was a retirement community, which is so funny. I was like, what? But people saying, so she ends up taking the job as a theater director, and she doesn't realize that it's at a retirement community. And that's what's so fun, is like, she's like, wait, what? Why are all these old people here? And they're like, honey, this is a retirement community. And so she kind of has that attitude at first, but then she grows to see how important this place is for the community, and she just loved her job by the end of the book. And I love that. Like, she really found what she was looking for, found her place. And Courtney Walsh's author's note really makes this book too, because you can see how much heart she put into this story, and you can really just see how a lot of her personal life was in this book too. So I always like that. So definitely read the author's note too. But there was a guy in here too, a little bit of a romance. I think the romance could have been a little bit more developed, but it was still cute. I can't remember his name. Booker. Yeah, he's like a cinnamon roll guy, and he helps her kind of work through her feelings and that kind of stuff. Very patient with her. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that she was struggling with, I think a lot of people will find relatable. I will say, the reason this is not quite a 5-star for me is, like, I just feel like it took a while to get connected to the character. Like, the first little bit had so much inner dialogue, it took me a little bit to get through, if I'm honest. But once we got to like 28 or 30%, I was like, okay, I'm here for this. So honestly, I don't know that I connected with her until about 30% in, right? But I still really like the story, and I feel like it's one of those fun, quick, you know, summer beach reads, that good stuff. Like, it was just good. All right, let's talk about this book. Y'all can tell I'm tired. I'm sitting down. The Curious Inheritance of Blakely House by Joanna Davidson Politano. I read this review, and I'm so glad I did. Like, this book was so good. I had so much fun with this. Like, I'm reminded of why I want to read more of her books, you know? So, I'm going to get my notes out again. But if you like steampunk elements, Christian fiction, gothic settings, invention, mystery, that kind of stuff. There's like automatons and things in this. Pirate elements, a bookish engineer, female main character, a mysterious house, the 1900s, historical fiction, it's like 1901 timeline, an inheritance plot. You know, we love a good inheritance plot. Who's going to get the money? Okay. Who's going to get the house? All that stuff in this case. And then faith elements, you know, a light romance in here, very, very light. More so historical, mystery, gothic style, hidden family secrets. Like, this is a book for you. And I gave it like a 4.5 star. The only reason it wasn't like a 5-star favorite is just because, like, I'm not really one into steampunk, and this had some of the elements of steampunk, like talking about the inventions and the automatons, that I just didn't personally know what was going on or what. Like, other than that, I still really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. It's like an honorable mention for a favorite, because we follow this girl Sydney, and she is a clockmaker that inherits Blakely House, Sydney Forrester, and it's the estate of an estranged uncle that she never met. Well, when she goes there, there's like other people who say they're supposed to be the inheritor, and she's like, what? And so there's like this test, really, of who's going to get the inheritance, right? And so many of the family members are working on the estate. They don't want her there. They're all convinced that she actually had something to do with his death. And so this ends up turning into like a mystery of who killed him. And Sydney ends up finding this ally in the estate's butler, who's an ex-adventurer from the island. And there's like pirate stuff too. Like, I thought that was really neat. I thought that was really cool, because I like pirates in books, and some of the characters on the island, she's like, oh, they kind of like it's giving pirate, you know? creaky halls. Like the Blakely house was like its own character for that reason. Sydney, I feel like, was a very unique character. She's innovative, independent, very sharp and smart, really refreshing to see. And she had a really good faith thread that I think was really well done in this, very natural to the story. So yeah, but the ending was my favorite. Like I loved how she wrapped all that up. I was like, girl, what? So like I really liked how she ended it, and it's like it's an honorable mention for favorite. So yeah, definitely pick that one up. I want to read more of Joanna's books. I've got like several of hers already on my shelf. I just haven't gotten to them yet. I've read The Lost Melody. What's the other one? Midnight Dance, something like that. I don't even remember what it's called. And I've got several others of hers on my shelf to read. So is that it? I think I got maybe 2 more. So let's talk real quick about this one I don't own, and then we'll talk about my favorite book of the month. Okay, you probably already know if you've seen the recent vlog, but yeah, so we have got Saving the Mountain Man's Legacy by Misty Beller. This is another one I read for honest review, and it was a quick read. This whole series has been fun. I had someone ask me if you can read this like without reading the other books in the series. It's best, I would think, to probably go from 1 to 8, right? Because number 8, it wrapped everything up with the family, and there's probably some stuff I didn't get. But like honestly, each book is really, like, I feel like could stand on its own without it, because I read books 7 and 8 for review for her and really enjoyed them. They're both 4-star reads. I liked book 8, I think, better than book 7 even. There's just something about the plot I really like when it has like a baby that they're trying to take care of and stuff. Like I really like that. And so yeah, I think, you know, probably best to go from books 1 to 8, of course. But I'm definitely going to go back and read book 1 to 6 because I really like these. These are like 200-something pages. They're pretty quick reads. At least these 2 were. I don't know about the others in the series, but they do have audiobooks as well. I saw them on Hoopla and stuff, so I may just listen to them that way. But this is a historical romance, Christian fiction. This one is a marriage of convenience. The main girl in here, her name's, what's her name? Grace. We got Grace and Samson. And so Grace is a mother to this baby that was left on her doorstep. And so you have a lot of good faith content in relation to the things that they're going through. And it's a clean romance and a very family-centered story. So if you like high-stakes, danger, suspense, and the Rocky Mountain wilderness setting, marriage of convenience, family saga, that kind of stuff, like you'll probably like this. But this one is about Jedediah's daughter named Grace, who is on her way to see her father. And she hasn't really seen him in a long time, but she's on her way to see her father with the newborn baby that somebody left on her doorstep. And she's raising it as her own. And so then you see Samson. This all pops off pretty quickly too. Samson is determined to kind of undo his mistakes that he made with his family. It's like jeopardized the family, what he did in a previous book. And so he is working for Jedediah, and he's out working and doing what he needs to do. He runs into Grace. He takes her in and helps her get there safely. Well, because he spent a night overnight technically with her, and the father's like, well, you've ruined her reputation, even though that nothing happened. And so he makes them get married. And so that all continues. There's some drama and stuff with the father, of course. See their bond grow after the marriage and everything. So they become like, they fall in love. You already know, it's like a slow romance, like their actual romance, but it's slow developing, which I really liked. And there's a lot of stuff, of course, with the daddy that pops off that's like high suspense, high stakes, that kind of stuff. And it's like sapphire mines and that kind of thing in this family. So I really like the family elements in this too. Just really good characters. And yeah, it's pretty good. So next, we'll talk about my final book of the month. Y'all already know my favorite book of the month is The Voice We Find by Nicole Deese. A 5-star favorite. 5-star favorite of the year. It is my favorite book of the year so far. There's something about the way she told this story. It is technically book 3 in the Fog Harbor romance series, but you can read it as a standalone. I've already talked about this in a couple other videos, so I'll be as brief as I can. But if you like Christian romance, books with depth, layered characters, redemption, theater, audiobooks, church life, you know, ASL represented in this book, like the deaf community, all of these things. Like, I really appreciated everything that she put in this book. We have our main characters of August and Sophie, and you also have a point of view of Gabby, who is August's adopted sister that he's raising as his own because their parents passed away. And so you get her perspective, like her voice memos, because she has a degenerative hearing loss, and they're, you know, she's working through that with her hearing aids and learning ASL, and she ends up having like a relationship with one of her friends. named Tyler, and he's deaf, and so like that really like helps her in her journey as well. He becomes a really close friend and boyfriend to her, and so August is wrestling with all those things and trying to figure out how to raise a teenage girl. Like, you don't know, and bless his heart. And then he's working with Sophie. He's like a sound engineer, and Sophie was also wanting, that's why I was getting this book confused with Courtney sometimes, because it deals with theater as well. And the girls had similar journeys of like, what's her name? Sophie versus Rosie. Sophie actually also wanted a career on Broadway, and I want to say she actually did work in Broadway, and it just wasn't working out. But now I'm forgetting all that stuff because I don't know why. But she ends up trying to, yeah, that's right. She ends up having panic attacks on stage. Duh. She did try to work on Broadway, and some things were not working out. She had a panic attack. Ends up going back home and getting a job at as an audiobook narrator with August, and the rest goes on from here. It was a very powerful story, great faith moments, a prodigal son story, returned home. I cried by the end. Please go watch my dedicated review video. Like, the layers of grief that were explored in this and the faith, it was just top notch. I cannot say enough good things about this book. You can read it, like I said, as a standalone. It's one of those, like, I'll never forget this book moments for me, and I was just sobbing by the end of it from the video. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't know if I explained it well, but the video explains more, and I've already been talking long enough. So please go read that dedicated review vlog, and author spotlight is out there. It's going to be linked. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let's chat below. Did you read any of these books? Do you want to read any of them? Let me know which was your favorite book of the month for April. I would love to know and hear from you guys. If you're not already aware, I do have a Facebook page. Now, it's always going to be linked in the description. Instagram, Goodreads. I've got my blog. So be sure to check me out on all those places. I don't want to remind you guys about the other places I'm at. So feel free to just follow me there. And thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, y'all.